Hey guys, Blitz here. I'm coming to you this morning just to try to get you out a video on some Arms Warrior PvP, what talents you need to be taking, what glyphs are useful for me and they might work for you as well, and your rotation and a little bit of cooldown management. I've had a few requests on to make a video like this, so that's what I'm going to try to get out for you guys this morning. First thing I want to go over with you guys is the your talent tree. Your talents, I mean, they're interchangeable and some of them are situational, but I'm just going to share with you guys what I like to use, what works well for me whenever I'm out there in battlegrounds or doing the arena thing and doing my best to tear some people up. As is Warrior Custom. So, on your first tier right here, you have the option of Juggernaut, Double Time, and Warbringer. And Juggernaut reduces your stun reduces your charge, from 20 to 12 seconds. You got Double Time, which gives you the option to charge twice, but you only regain that rage from your charge once every 20 seconds, and that's okay. Warbringer, it gives your charge a stun, a 1.5 second stun instead of rooting, but that will still leave your charge on a 20-second cooldown. And with Warriors and our inability to get ourselves out of roots right now, it's you take Warbringer if you need it. Like I would say against like a Holy Paladin when they're trying to get away from you in threes. My go-to talent for this tier is going to be Juggernaut. Like I said, we have a lot of problems with roots. We have a lot of problems with mobility. You know, we have heroic leap and but I like that good 12-second charge. 12 seconds is plenty of time for me to connect and do some damage, get my damage out on the target before it's time for me to worry about having to get out of a mobility CC again. So that's the talent I 9 times out of 10 I'll take in Battlegrounds. I will take Warbringer, like I said, for arenas against Holy Paladins, sometimes against Mistweaver Monks or any class that has an ability to freedom and get itself away from me. So that's what I take from my first tier. The second tier, you really don't have a choice here in the second tier. Second Wind used to be an amazing ability, but right now when you're below 35%, if you get below 35% in arenas right now, chances are you're pretty close to death, and you need a more reliable heal than a 25% leech. Impending Victory, a victory rush every 30 seconds is great, but 30 seconds can be a long time, and after a killing blow on a pet or on a person, it's totally okay to just use to not need that. I mean, you need something more reliable. In Rage Regeneration, it'll instantly heal you for 10% of your maximum health and an additional 20% over 5 seconds. So you get a 30% heal off of that. I find that to be more reliable. It's on a 1-minute cooldown. That should be plenty of time intermission with your other defensives to get your healer, to let your healer catch up and give you the attention that you need and get your health spiked back up in that amount of time. So I'll take in Rage Regeneration. Let me bring up my macros for you real quick. I'll take Enraged Regeneration and I'll put Health Stone or Healing Tonic, whatever it is I can use. Now the Healing Tonics you can't use in arenas or rated battlegrounds, but you can use Health Stones, and Warlocks are a common teammate of Warriors right now, both in RBGs and in threes. WLS is an amazing comp. So that's just this little helpful piece there. Third tier, Sudden Death. As you know, Arms Warriors Mastery. It increases the damage of our Mortal Strike, Colossus Smash, and Execute abilities. And when you've got enough mastery, this is mine right here, shows 138% increased damage. So Sudden Death is my go-to. I've almost never used Slam. Slam is a Mist Append area thing. It used to be really great, but unless you're playing with a hunter and you're really worried about messing up traps with your massive cleave damage as an Arms Warrior, Sudden Death is where I stay. Taste for Blood, you know, with your set bonus, Warrior set bonus, you get rage from taking damage, and that's pretty reliable as a Warrior. In arenas, you're going to be taking a lot of damage anyway, so that's where your rage pulls up for the most part. You rage off your charge, you rage off taking damage. So with what our mastery sits at, I prefer to take Sudden Death. Those random executes in the middle are big. If you've got trinkets rolling, you can get 75, 85k procs with Sudden Death, and as Warrior pressure goes, that's a great thing to have. Fourth tier, this is interchangeable. Your two go-tos are going to be Shockwave and Stormbolt. Stormbolt hurls your weapon at an enemy, causing X amount of physical damage and stunning them for 4 seconds. That's good for Paladins again, with the freedom freedom and light speed, it's or speed of light, it's a pain to have to chase paladins around, or when Aura Mastery pops up. So this is my go-to talent. I've actually got it set for a focus Stormbolt, and I usually set that focus to the healer every game. Shockwave is an awesome talent. It's a 40-second cooldown. Sends a wave and frontal cone causing X amount of damage and stunning all enemies within 10 yards for 4 seconds. That's an amazing talent for Battlegrounds, as well as when you're facing another turbo team, or TSG, or Walking Dead. Anything with double melee, it's an amazing peel as well as an amazing CC. If you catch 3 people in your Shockwave, or pets count in that count. If you catch 3 enemies in your Shockwave, the cooldown's reduced by 20 seconds. So if you can keep that rolling, if you get good at making your Shockwaves happen, you can do that and keep 20 second CC, a good AoE stun on every 20 seconds. So it's usually a choice between Shockwave and Stormbolt. Stormbolt I like because it's ranged. You know, people tend to get away from warriors a lot easier than they used to be able to. So Stormbolt is usually my go-to. 5th tier is also situational. Most of the time you're going to be bouncing in between Safeguard and Mass Spell Reflection. Mass Spell Reflection is what I take for BGs, RBGs, because incoming CC, you know, you can't kick everything. You can't be on top of everything. You know, sometimes you get juked. That just happens. Even the best players in the world get juked. We've seen it. We've all seen it. So Mass Spell Reflection is a great thing against God Comp, or any teams with Cyclones and Polymorphs. It's great. I'll use that against spell heavy teams. Safeguard is a pretty common one as well. This is run at high speed towards a party or raid member, intercepting the next melee or ranged attack made against them, reducing damage taken by 20% for 6 seconds. And that's a huge thing for your healer. That's a huge peel for your DPS, as well as a little bit of mobility for you. So Safeguard is something I'll take against, and usually something with a rogue, or a shaman, or a warrior. Anything melee that just has an incredible amount of damage that they can put out, you know, at a time. So that's usually what I go. Once in a great while, you can use Vigilance. And Vigilance, 40-yard range, 2-minute cooldown. Protect a party or raid member for 12 seconds, reducing their damage taken by 30% and allowing you to use Taunt with no cooldown. The Taunt with no cooldown thing doesn't really pertain to much anything, because that's not something we really actively use in PvP in Warlords of Draenor. So Vigilance is something I will take against Thug. You know, those high burst in the opener, really big damage. They try to nuke your healers right out of the gate. Usually Thug is all I'll use Vigilance against, and it's very rare that I'll use it. But when you do need it, it's a totally acceptable talent. Very big game changer in some situations. But most of the time, you're going to be bouncing back and forth between Safeguard and Mass Spell Reflection. Level 90 tier. You've got Avatar, Bloodbath, and Bladestorm. Now, considering how much mastery we get from our armor and our you know, gems and enchants and stuff, you're going to be stacking mostly mastery as an arms warrior anyway. So Bladestorm is the talent I take. It becomes an unstoppable destructive force, striking all targets within 8 yards for a blank amount of damage every second for 6 seconds, blah blah blah. You're immune to movement impairing effects and loss of control effects, but can only use taunt and other defensive abilities. Okay, Bladestorm is what I take for a couple reasons. A, it's good AoE cleave damage. You can't be cycloned, you can't be polymorphed, you can't be rooted. And the rooted thing is extremely important for us, because if you've played a warrior for more than 15 minutes, you know roots are our biggest enemy. So outside of being a decent amount of cleave damage, it keeps you from getting cycloned, it keeps you from getting rooted, it gets you out of roots. So Bladestorm is my go-to. I don't take a whole lot of Avatar as arms, specifically because our mastery is so high. You know, we've only got a couple actual abilities we use regularly, and you know, Colossus Smash, Execute, and Mortal Strike is our bread and butter right now as arms. So with our amount of mastery, I don't feel Avatar is something you need regularly. Roots are a problem. Bloodbath is extra bleed damage. Rend right now is ticking for anywhere from 18 to 30k I've seen Rend ticks go for. So Bloodbath is not something I would recommend in most aspects of PvP. It might be decent for rated battlegrounds, but still I feel Bladestorm is more effective and reliable damage. Last tier is going to be Anger Management. Every 30 rage that you spend reduces the remaining cooldown of several abilities by 1 second. And seeing that the abilities on that are your Stormbolt, Shockwave, Heroic Leap, Recklessness, Die by the Sword, your defensive stuff, that's going to be amazing. Siegebreaker with one two-handed weapon is not a wonderful thing. Siegebreaker can be used as a kick, but I prefer to have the reduced cooldown on my defensive abilities because as arms warriors you really don't have any self-heals outside of enraged regeneration. So this kind of helps you keep up with the damage and helps your healer be able to keep up more often. If you get your Die by the Sword up more often than every 2 minutes, that's a huge difference for you and your team. But now that we went over talent trees, let's go over glyphs just a little bit. Right now, let's get that out of there. I don't want that right now. Hold on. Major glyphs. Bull Rush is kind of a catch-all. It's one of those glyphs you just kind of leave in there, unless you need something else specifically. Your charge generates 15 additional rage. Playing as a warrior right now, since we have to hop back and forth between battle and defensive stance a lot, and defensive stance starves us of rage. So I like that little bit of extra rage. Make sure I get my slow and my rend on my target. Get that damage out there. It's just a good talent to take, and considering the choices you have, this is probably one of the better glyphs you can take. Glyph of Rude Interruption. Successfully interrupting a spell with Pummel increases your damage by 6% for 20 seconds. That doesn't seem like a lot, but if you're playing against caster comps, anything with a mage in it, as a warrior, you're going to be riding the mage 90% of the time. And you're going to be guaranteed to get kicks against druids and mages and Mistweaver monks. So that 6% damage, if you spend 3 minutes in an arena, you kick the Mistweaver just to get the kick off, and then you're doing a 6% extra damage against his DPS. It's a great thing to use. It's a great thing to use in battlegrounds. That 6% damage is not just applied against the target you kick. It's just a buff for you. So if you kick this Mistweaver over here and then you start on this mage, your 6% damage stays with you. You're going to be doing that 6% extra damage to whatever target you're hitting, which is very helpful. Glyph of Mortal Strike. This is one of those glyphs that, again, is trying to help your healer out. Because, like I said, warriors, we hop back and forth between battle stance and defensive stance, and it's hard. It's hard to stay alive sometimes against those big damage comps. So when your Mortal Strike is affecting a target, healing effects on you are increased by 10%. 10% can be huge over a 2 to 3 minute arena. That can be the difference between, oh, I got executed, and oh, I got Shadow Word Death. So that 10% really helps your healer out a lot, and I would recommend that as a glyph go-to if you can. There's a couple other glyphs in here that are optional, but I'm gonna go one over the last one that I think in a minor glyphs that actually matters. Your Intimidating Shout. Arenas are done off chain CC. If you can't link chain CC together, you're not gonna do very well. So Glyph of Intimidating Shout. All targets of your Intimidating Shout now tremble in place instead of fleeing in fear. Now, I know sometimes fearing somebody around a pillar is a great thing to do, but just for the right reliability of, oh, I'm going to fear this guy and, my other DPS or my healer needs to get CC off of that, they stay in place. They don't move. If you fear them somewhere, that's where they're going to stay. This fear is not dispellable, so it's not going to get dispelled. They're either going to trinket or they're going to use a racial ability and get out of it, but most of the time they don't. They have to sit it. And if they're standing still, if you're playing with a hunter, easy trap target. If you're playing with a paladin, easy hodge, easy clone, etc. So that's a good minor glyph. The only one that actually really matters. The other two, Crow Feast, Yeehaw, who cares? Thunder Strike, that just makes your Thunder Strike look cooler. I like the big thunder. It's a little bit more graphic intensive than just regular old thunderclap, so I like to throw that in there and keep it going. Your other glyphs that are acceptable here are Blitz. Yeah, trademark glyph right there. Your charge also roots an additional 2 nearby targets. Now, that's a good thing, but I like to mix the glyph of Blitz in with Warbringer because that charge stun will be spread with Blitz. So if you charge one dude, you can charge and stun 3 people if they're stacked up together. And that's a great thing against those melee heavy comps. I'll take that from time to time. Let's see. Flawless Defense. If you're going up against a team that does not have any casters on it whatsoever, and you're really scared of that big melee damage, you know, so you have a 25% reduced chance for attacks against you to be critical. Critical strikes while die by the sword is active. That can be important against rogues. When they're getting those big shadow dances off on you, or an enhancement shaman's popping ascendance, you're just like, oh god, get it off, get it off, get it off, get it off. That can help a whole bunch. But it's not a glyph I use very often. Heroic Leap is decent. I would save Heroic Leap for Battlegrounds. That's one of those if you feel like it. You know, if you don't have good dispels on your team, it's a good little 70% run speed for 3 seconds after Heroic Leap. Just a little bit extra to close that gap. What else do we use in here? Oh, Shattering Throw, of course. Shattering Throw is a great way, bubble popper, ice block breaker. You know, set yourself up a macro for that, so just put it on your bar. You never have to get into your spellbook and put it back up there. It's always there where you need it. Alright, now that we've wrapped that up, let's go over a little bit of rotation. Arms rotation is very simple, and it's for some it's complicated just because they're uncomfortable with when they think they need to be using Colossus Smash as a cooldown. But if you're playing offensively, you know, when you open up, you got cooldowns out of your enemies. It's okay to be using that regularly to get that armor debuff on there. So your basic abilities as a warrior, you know, you're gonna charge at people. That's always gonna be a button. Hamstring and rend are gonna be the first things you want to put on a target. Keep those slows, keep those bleeds up, keep that damage rolling, that pressure out. So you charge in at your enemy, you got your slow and your bleed on them. This is great. Usually you'll get a sudden death proc right out of the gate. I hang on to that for a second until I'm ready to Mortal Strike. You see both my trinkets are procced up right now. So I'll hit them with that Colossus Smash debuff, get that execute out there, and then a big Mortal Strike. Now, those weren't very big hits because I charged and I didn't use them immediately because I was going over this rotation. You get in there, bleeds and stuff up, Mortal Strike up, bam. Big Mortal Strike cooldowns. You wouldn't be jumping around like that though, I'm just doing that for fun. But that's it. You know, you get in there, you get your procs, you use them. Colossus Smash, Mortal Strike. Now usually as soon as you get in there on your target, and you put that Colossus Smash down, that big rawr armor debuff, that's a good time. You know, if you've got trinkets rolling and you've got enemy Tealer CC'd, that's when you can pop Recklessness. That's when you can pop your unused trinket and just lay into somebody with that big Mortal Strike, that big Colossus Smash, and those big melee hits. Blade Storm if you can. If you've got enemy team stacked up, you know, you're not falling behind. Get in there, smack them up a little bit. Colossus Smash, Recklessness. Bang. This is big hits for days. Smacking everybody and bringing them down. But that's really it. I mean, if you're in a BG and you're trying to cleave targets down, Sweeping Strikes is a good thing to kick in there. I have it on a button on its own. I don't have it set up in a macro because I don't want to waste rage. We're rage deprived, rage starved. We have to kick in a defensive stance. You know, you're stuck where you're at. Let's say you are playing in defensive stance and you get in there on a target. This is okay. You're not going to occur rage as fast as you want to, but you know, 20% reduced damage while you're sitting in defensive stance is worth it if your healer's getting tied up or enemy team has a whole bunch of CC left over. So if you haven't noticed already, you know, you can sit here and fight. You can sit here and fight in defensive stance all day long. You know, you're not going to have as much rage. You'll still get your sudden death procs. You can still Mortal Strike. That's totally okay. But there's a couple abilities that you can use that will put you directly into battle stance out of defensive stance. And if you're not ready to be in battle stance and you use one of these abilities, you're stuck. If you get stuck in a stun, you can't swap stances. That's just where you're at. So I want you to keep in mind that if you use Sweeping Strikes or if you use Colossus Smash, it's going to instantaneously swap you over to battle stance. You don't have a choice at this point. You're in it to win it. You know, you're all in. You know, all the cards are on the table. So be careful with those two abilities. They are great for getting that damage up there, but they will swap you into battle stance. But that's about it for your rotation. I appreciate the video requests. I appreciate the support. If there's more videos you guys want in the future, let me know. Put your ideas out there, and I'd be more than happy to make them for you guys. But I'm gonna wrap that up right here. Any questions, comments, concern? drop them in the comment box. Shoot me a message. I'll do my best to get content out there to you guys and to get those replies. I enjoy helping other people learn how to play warrior, help them polish up on their warrior gameplay and maximize that damage, and get you some more rating in your threes, get you to where you want to be in those pushes. Again, I appreciate the support, guys. Y'all take it easy. Blitz out.